getting through quarterfinals is just the first step to Rotterdam and then eventually winning the title.
It would be a waste of time and effort if we don't make it past quarters.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the LCS studio here in Berlin, Germany, where the European LCS Spring Playoffs are officially underway. As you get a look at Vitality chilling by the pool, as well as Fnatic getting ready to take the stage and get that next title, possibly, although it's going to be a big best of 5 they have to win here to start everything off. Our crowd, a lot of kappas there, fantastic way to start everything up. And with every series, win or go home, it is all on the line for the two teams on stage. Hello, I'm Evje Supporter, here to break down today's quarterfinal series along with James Stress O'Leary, G2's Rookie of the Split Perks, and H2K's Jankos. Now, I mean, judging from Twitter, you guys are the bestest friends, so we thought it only naturally to invite you guys here.
Yeah, well,
yeah, I wouldn't really say best friends.
I wouldn't say best friend either, but...
Ooh. No, but in all honesty, you guys are just joking around a lot on Twitter, or?
No, I actually think he's bad.
I mean, I think he's the most overrated player in Euro right now.
All right, so I think that will spawn some interesting discussions then throughout the day and your opinions over the teams. Well, let's start by taking a look at the bracket and see what lies ahead on the road to Rotterdam. Obviously, today we have Vitality going up against Fnatic in a best of 5. And tomorrow, the UOL versus Origin. The winner of this weekend's matches will face either G2 or H2K after being reseeded in the semifinals.
Yeah, and the reseeding is mostly important if Vitality lose today. Then things get a little bit crazy in the bracket inverts. What you need to know is that H2K, after being second seed, will face the highest remaining seed coming from the regular split, that being Vitality currently, and G2 will have the theoretically easier opponent coming through from that regular split standings.
Yeah, what do you think of the possible opponents you will be facing? So if Vitality wins here, that means you will go up against them in semifinals?
Well, for me, it's kind of good because I would face Nuke Deck, and I would be really glad to kind of destroy him on the Rift again. And then I think Shulk is kind of cocky, but he's a really good player, obviously. So I would like to play against him too. So yeah, I guess I'm waiting for them.
I think it would be an easy trio for Vitality just because of the jungle matchup.
All right. Well, we'll see if and when that happens. We assuming here that Vitality will take the upper hand. One thing we have to note as well is that substitutions are allowed between each game in a series. That might not be as important today, but obviously looking ahead to tomorrow, UOL versus OG, those mid-series substitutions could come into play, Perks.
Yeah, I think Origin actually depends a lot on playing with two mid laners. Like, Paragula can play some champs Pekka can't, and then Pekka can play more meta champs than Paragula actually can't. So we will see how they go into play with that.
Yeah, we'll see how they adjust as well now that we are on patch 6.6, which we will be on the entirety of the playoffs. Aurelion Sol disabled for the entirety of the playoffs, sadly for people that might have liked to play him. And Jankos, you weighed in on Twitter on a potential pick. You said, I think Malzahar is secretly broken OP, by the way. Can you explain some further?
Well, I just think that overall, Malzahar is kind of underrated because he controls mid very well with his pushing ability, which is E. And then if you catch someone without QSS, it's insta-kill pretty much. And then it's AoE silence for like 3 seconds. So I overall think if someone uses Malzahar well, I think the pick is really strong, as we saw in LCK already. So hopefully in the European playoffs, we will see it more as well.
Yeah, you mentioned LCK. It's not the only kind of a little bit newer pick coming through the Malzahar, obviously. We've also seen a whole lot of Maokai in LCK, as well as a bunch of other picks coming out. We've seen a bit of Ryze coming from there, a lot of different things, Echo Top as well. The one pick I really wanted to kind of get your opinion on, Perks, is currently in the middle lane. We're seeing a lot of Azir high priority. What's your thoughts of where Azir is right now in the meta?
Well, Azir is very OP right now because it deals so easily with tanks, which is like in every top or jungle champion pool. and even support like Alistair, Braum, and stuff like that. So yeah, Azir is really high priority. There is obviously counter comps to it and counter picks, but if you like first pick Azir and then pick like Gragas and Maokai or Alistair and something with it, you have a really strong frontline and you can just hit for free.
I think Azir might be really strong in the BO5 as well, because we have Nukeduck facing Fabian, and as we all know, Nukeduck likes to hack the turret, so Azir is perfect pick to just farm, you know, from the turret. Yeah.
Well, we'll dive a little deeper into that matchup in just a second. However, we'll see how those changes affect the meta in just a few minutes. Vitality is going to go up against Fnatic in today's best of 5.
That is today's best of 5 for Europe, but there's also a best of 5 today in North America. Immediately following our coverage, we're going to kick it across the pond over to NA to take a look at Cloud9 versus TSM.
Excited about that matchup?
I'm actually excited because it's going to be fun to watch because it's Bjergsen versus Incarnation, Jensen, sorry. It's two really good mid laners that I actually respect, and they're both from Europe, of course, because NA meets, yeah.
All right, well, as the playoffs get underway, we want to hear from all of you. Like usual, of course, tweet your questions for today's High Elo Analyst Desk at LOL Esports with the hashtag AskTheDesk, and we'll answer a few later today. Now, Game 1 is just minutes away. Let's focus in on the series at hand. Vitality versus Fnatic. First up, Fnatic. They limped into the playoffs, 6th place for them, ending the game with a 3-game, the split rather, with a 3-game losing streak. In your honest opinion, obviously we all said, wow, IEM, fantastic. They did so well there. They evolved. But was that just kind of a blip on the radar looking at their form now?
I think actually IEM was just a bit of a lucky run with some of the comps they had prepared for that or they had discovered there. But when they came back to Europe, I don't think no one expected them to be like a super new good team. They're just the same old Fnatic, you know.
Well, in my opinion, if Clive would play 20 solo queue games every day since 2 weeks, then maybe they would stand a chance. But just because I think it's a big support mismatch, I think it will be really tough for Fnatic.
I think that's very interesting, and especially when you look at the expectations of an organization here. Fnatic, they've made the last 6 finals and got through the last 6 splits to the semifinals automatically. You mentioned a support mismatch. You guys were talking a little bit earlier about the top lane as well. I wonder what your thoughts are now, because you guys are talking about how good KaBoShad is. We're in a tank meta. What are your thoughts on how Gamsu is going to perform in that? Because it kind of neutralizes Kabo a bit, don't you think?
Well, I think Kabo can play tanks as good as he can play carries, though, or he has learned. But yeah, it makes it easier for Gamsu to actually survive the laning phase and overall perform better than if it was a carry meta where Kabo would just stomp him.
I think in this BO5 we'll see a lot of bans top lane, and I think that will make KaBoShad kind of better player as well. And then obviously, as we all know, KaBoShad never plays 1v1, so yeah, I think he has the edge.
Final question maybe about Fnatic. Perks for a team and some members like Fabian, like Reckless, who dominated the summer split, who are all the way at the semifinals at Worlds. What do you think the mental influences of them going in 6th place?
I think for Fabian there is like a big mental, I don't know, like a problem or something, because last year he had such a good team and he was like a super good mechanical player and he would just carry in team fights and stuff. But right now it's a lot harder for him as a mid laner to get off the good early game, early to mid game, which is like most of the other lanes what they actually do. Mid lane is just farming, so you don't do actually anything except some skirmishes and stuff. So yeah, he has a lot more burden on his shoulders, I think, than he was last year.
All right, let's move on to they're playing against Vitality. When we asked the pro players here on the desk, said, well, they might be the favorites to win the entire thing. However, they only went 2-2 in the last couple of weeks, 8 and 9. They lost to Roccat and they lost to G2, obviously. Why do you think, Jankos, it is that Vitality never made it into the top 2?
Well, I just think overall sometimes they struggle, and at the beginning of the split, they were not as good, and they improved overall. I think their players were a bit overrated at the beginning of the split, and then with Chance coaching, they became better and better. So right now, probably they are a top 3 team in Europe, but we will see how they do here.
We'll see how they do in this best of 5. Perks, I want to pick up something you said very early on in the split. And that is that any team that only plays one style isn't going to do so great. We've seen Vitality bring out a lot of different team compositions when you look at the Nasus, you know, they had the Bard Zillion. What's your thoughts? Do they have that extra versatility over Fnatic in this best of 5?
Okay, so they had a lot of different team comps, but they almost always had the same style. They always played 1-3-1, so no matter what champ they played mid or top, it would have to go silent, and then they would just push all the lanes and rotate to mid or like to jungle and make picks and just try to outman them, like with Queen mid and GP ult and stuff like that. They were playing a lot of outmanning enemy team rather than just straight up team fighting them or whatever. So, and versus us, when they played the 1-4 comp with Azir and Nasus, they really struggled, like they were kind of lost on the map. So let's see if in the last 2-3 weeks they have improved on the other play styles as well.
I think just what you said makes sense, but also right now Sivir pick is kind of strong. So I would look forward to Helena playing her, just because he was big Sivir player last split, last season overall. And right now Sivir pick got a bit buffed, so I think it's kind of good to play it again. So we'll see how he does it.
I mean, H2K obviously also a lot of times goes for that split push and the 1-3-1 and then fighting mid. Do you think that Vitality's 1-3-1 is strong enough when they go up against Fnatic? Does Fnatic have enough power to put against that?
I mean, I think Fnatic should kind of try to force teamfights a lot and try to peak for teamfights overall. Because if Vitality plays for 1-3-1 and they fail it, then Fnatic has a chance. But if Fnatic wants to match it and go 1-3-1, I think just overall Vitality players just better, you know, and they will execute it better as well because they played horse split.
All right. In terms of picks and bans, we want to look at the middle lane, Febiven versus Nukeduck, and I know that you guys have some strong opinions about the both and the versatility that they've shown. So Perks, who's the best?
I think Febiven is better.
All right, and how much does it matter in this matchup?
Well, that depends on how Fnatic will play as a team, I think. But if they get off the first good early 20 minutes, I think Febiven will outperform Nukeduck in teamfights.
Well, I think Febiven is better as well, but I think Nukeduck played really well in the last playoffs. So I think if Nukeduck can play even better this time, I think, well, it will be kind of even.
All right, we will see what happens. Can I get a quick prediction from you guys? Stress?
Yeah, 3-2 Vitality, I think.
3-2 Fnatic.
I think 3-1 Vitality.
Why the differing opinion here, Perks?
I believe in Febiven.
I think he has just no clue about the game, that's why.
Whatever it may be, we will find out. The teams are ready, and as we head inside for Game 1, Reckless tells us his goals heading into Fnatic's uphill playoff battle.
This year really brought a lot of new challenges, and I think that eventually resulted in me having inconsistent performance because I was putting a lot of focus on other things than I usually do. I'm gonna put in a lot of work to show these guys that I'm actually the captain of the team. Like I really want to lead by example and put in that extra notch on a daily basis, and then perhaps make it all the way through.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Devin Pyre, Tennis Young, of course.